Why is it that people are so willing and okay with living so below their potential? In fact, why is it that people are so afraid to actually call their shot? And that's what we're going to be talking about on today's Speak and Get What You Want podcast with the great Ben Kjar. Ben, how are you, my friend?
What's going on, brother? I am so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, it is great to be with you. And we were talking before we started recording, your incredible movie. Oh my goodness. We watched it as a family and just were really moved, inspired, and just taken back at how you were willing to call your shot and really stood behind that. So tell me, when did you really, well, first, let's back up for a moment and just ask, when did you find out that your life was going to be made into a movie?
My wife and I were hiking Kilimanjaro, and we get down to phone service area. We just summited, 20,000 feet in elevation, and all of a sudden my phone just starts buzzing with all these messages coming in. And now I had service right after days. And one of the messages was Tanner Christensen, my director. And he says, "Hey, Ben, I know you don't remember me very much. We went to high school together. Give me a call." It sounds like he was selling me like an MLM product, right? I'm like, oh, God. Long story short, I call him and he's like, "Hey, me and my dad, TC Christensen, who's a legend, and he's like, we want to do a film about your life." And then he brought on Jared Hess, which did Napoleon Dynamite, Nacho Libre, a Minecraft movie. And those three musketeers took it to, all throughout the world in the theaters. And now we're going after, just got qualified as one of the very few films to go after an Oscar award. It's crazy.
Oh, that's incredible. And Standout. The name, where'd it come from?
My mom in the bathroom one day after I just got annihilated verbally at a grocery store where a man pointed me out in front of what I felt like was half of my neighborhood. And I went home, crashed against the wall, melted in just like disbelief, and wanted to figure out a way to take my face off. And my mom broke in, heard me crying, and she stood me up after she cuddled with me. And she's like, "Ben, you're born different because you're meant to make a difference. You, my son, are not born to fit in. God created you to stand out." And that was it. That was the big pivotal word that just rang true in our mind. And that's why it's called Stand Out.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, and so Ben, what is it? So many people, and I started this podcast talking about so many people are willing to live below their potential, but you took
Mm.
on a challenge and said, "No, I'm not only going to live below my potential or even at my potential, I'm going to exceed my potential." What is that? Do you attribute that to that your mom pulling you aside, or what was it within you that said, "Okay, I'm going to exceed my potential"?
Yeah, and sometimes you don't know what your potential is. For me growing up, I would walk down the hallways and look at Bobby and Billy and Tommy version 2.0 and thought it would be enough in life to be them until you realize that God created you, your version of you, that the Crouzon syndrome that I was born with wasn't a curse, it was a gift. Until you realize these things, you don't know what your potential is. But at the same time, I knew I had the opportunity to become extraordinary because I couldn't be ordinary. There was no fitting in for me, no matter what. But this always rang true to me. I have a faith and a belief that after this life we resurrect and we have the opportunity to meet with God. And in this moment, I've always thought about this when you talk about potential. At this moment after we die, I have a belief and understanding that we will meet the best version of us.
Mm.
Now, my biggest fear is meeting that best version of me that God had in store to live here on earth for the course of my life. And if I get to that point and I meet that person and they are not familiar with who I am and who I became to be, that's a fear that I didn't reach even a fraction of my potential or my potential in its fullest. I want to be able to take what God's given me, use it as just like, use it as a benefit in being vulnerable and sharing with others what they can achieve through pain. When I speak on stage, people don't have Crouzon syndrome in the audience. Very few have cauliflower ear from wrestling and fighting like me. But everybody understands pain and anguish and doubt. And everybody wants to know how to get through that. And so that's where we connect with them and tell them how to not just get through it, but how to achieve, how to thrive, how to stand out, and how to become the best version of you possible.
Wow. Ben, so when you get up on stage, is that what drives you? You look at that audience and you say, "Okay, I want to help everybody here see that they can become the best version of themselves." Because seeing you on
Brother,
stage, it's an experience. I'll tell you that. Having the opportunity to speak after you was one of the worst experiences of my life, right? Having to come on after you were done. And do you but you really connect with the audience? Is it because you see them in a way that you're thinking to yourself, you can be the absolute best version of them of yourself?
yes, absolutely. And by the way, thanks for being so kind. You are way powerful. And so I loved absolutely tag teaming with you on that stage. Here's what I tell my clients or people who hire me to step on their stage on the pre event calls. I tell them, if I do my job and I bring the vulnerability and the feeling of connection on that stage, there will be people that will make generational decisions.
Mm.
And if that day is like, let's call it September 15th, I say September 15th, 2026, there will be people in your audience occupying your seats at your event that will show up like any other event, but they will leave a different person, not being motivated, but being moved. And as people are moved into becoming the best version of them, not just for them, but for others, so that their life isn't just being lived for them, but they can fight the good fight for others. It gives them more passion, it gives them more purpose, so that they feel like they're living on purpose. It gives a little pep in their step. And now they have people holding them accountable, and it changes the game for them.
So you Ben, when you had a very successful career before you start speaking on stage, before you became a movie star and all of the above. And do you feel like you're more fulfilled now because you're impacting more people? Because you were very successful before.
Yeah, I did investment real estate all over the country, and it just got to a point. I was praying to God, and I felt like I was getting ready to adopt some more kids. I have three kids that are all adopted, and I was getting ready to adopt one of my last. And I was praying to God. I'm like, and asking if this was the right thing. Three kids in 13 months is quick, a big life change. And so I was coming to God. I'm like, God, what are you moving me towards? And through a lot of just like dissection of direction and where I should go, I felt God just speak to me for my own life. And He said, Ben, you've been renovating homes all over the country. I don't need you to paint any more walls. I need you to paint souls. I need you to pour into people. And in that moment, I'd already been speaking. I mean, I was speaking at the youth level 60 to 70 times a year, even, but I didn't treat it like a business. It was on the side, an assembly here, an event there, whatever. And in that moment, I'm like, I need to move my my trajectory of where I go. And this year, for the first time ever, well, in the last like 15 years, I haven't had a construction team work for me. And so, as you guys feel like you're being moved, as you feel like you're supposed to go a certain way, I would say there gets to be a decision that whatever you're doing, if you feel like that's not the answer anymore, you have to shut off that faucet
Mm.
eventually. Sometimes it doesn't need to go all the way off, but it does need to decrease if you plan on going somewhere else. Or if you feel like it's right, turn it all the way off. Burn the ships. Everyone's going to know what that looks like for them in their time and their season of life. But if you keep that thing on, then it will be very difficult for you to walk two different ways. And I knew what he was saying to me. And so for me, it was to speak more and create standout moments for other people to change their trajectory and where they should be going.
And so you use that phrase "burn the boats," right? Where it's a history event where they went to the island and they burned the boats, right? And they either had to conquer the island or that was it. But Ben, I completely agree with you that you have to be all in and all committed in your direction. But what do you tell someone that's scary? That's a lot of fear when you've been successful in real estate and all of a sudden you're going to go do a speaking career and you burn the boat. How did you handle that fear that's like, oh no, what do I do if this doesn't work?
So it's hard to do it alone, right?
Hmm.
Jesus Christ had 12 apostles for a reason. You have to have people in your corner. I call it shot callers. So after you call your shot, for me, my shot was I'm gonna be a speaker. I'm gonna do it as a living. I'm gonna do it as a career. I'm gonna completely shift my career, and I'm gonna get people in my corner that hold me accountable, so
Wait,
that
call
when
your
I
shot. Wait, I don't want to interrupt you here, but I really want to emphasize that you call your shot. You say, I'm going to do this. And the word that comes to my mind is steadfast. You're fixed in direction. This is where you're going. And so I love that. That's the very first thing people have to really become accustomed to do, and what you teach. And people, you'll share with us how people can learn more at the end of this, how they can learn more about calling their shot. But go ahead. So that first step there, call that shot.
Yeah, and this is what I speak around. This is what I speak about around the world. I've studied and done data research in how people achieve not just okay things, but like life-changing moments. Like Roger Bannister running the sub 4 minute mile. People said your heart's going to explode. It's physiologically impossible, and nobody had ever done it. Not a human soul that they know of had ever done it. He did it. And literally weeks after, someone broke his record. We just had a guy, a human, like last month, that just recorded a 3 minute 42-second mile, all because Roger Bannister pushed the pace. Right? He pushed the limit, and it wasn't necessarily like a physical limit because it's been broke multiple times by like 18 seconds now. It was a belief barrier that he shattered. And the moment he broke the belief barrier, he allowed others or gave them permission to do the same. But he had a coach, he had teammates, he had a timeline. He knew that day, he told people ahead of time, this is the day I'm going to do it. And so that's what we got to do. The data research goes to show that if you do three things, you'll achieve groundbreaking goals. Those three things are call your shot. What is that? Make it super clear. For me in high school, on my Letterman's jacket, as a sophomore, on my Letterman's jacket, I put 3XSC. That stood for three-time state champion. And there had never been a three-time state champion in my high school. That was super clear. Everybody knew every February, that's when state was. Like like sick or not sick, I had to show up, and that was the time. Everyone knew it. I had my coaches and teammates. Number two, my coaches and teammates were my shot callers. They were the people that held me accountable. I decided to disobey average. And when my coaches told me to do 20 push ups, I can't get a gold medal by doing 20 push ups. So I did more. I did 25, 30. And then lastly, you got to put a time limit. I call it a shot clock. So after you call your shot, get shot callers in your corner, you got to put together a shot clock. What does that mean? Well, everybody knows the goals that you guys have set January 1st. If you don't buy the ticket to the marathon or whatever you're trying for, you probably won't do it. There will be no expiration date. And even beyond that, don't just have an expiration date, have a consequence that follows. Have something that is a taken away if you don't do it, and then have a gift or a reward once you do it. So as people do those things, lives are like completely shifted. And when I speak, I invite people to do the same. And I just get messages after messages about people calling their shot and what they're doing and how they're shattering expectations and timelines, and like that's when it gets fun.
Well, and Ben, all three things that you outlined there, they all can be scary. Calling your shot is frightening, but then that second one, having shot callers, because sometimes you may have to switch the people that you're associating with, because there's a lot of people that will want to limit your success, right?
Mm.
Because when you start dreaming big, it reminds people that they're not dreaming, and they're like, oh, I don't want to be around that. So they want to squash your dream, and so that's step number two, Ben. That can create some serious challenges.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I don't tell people to call their shot without wearing a diaper because you're gonna have to wear a diaper. I'm gonna be next month. I'm gonna be inducted to the Utah Hall of Fame for athletics, and they're giving me a big ring. And inside the ring, you could write something. And I told my wife, "What should we write? 3XSC? What should we write?" She's like, "No, Ben. What's something that's really allowed you to do this?" Inside my ring, I wrote, "My daddy wears diapers." Because I've spoke on stage so many times where my kids have been in the audience and I talk about the diaper challenge. And when you call your shot, it's got to be scary enough to where you feel like you're going to absolutely pee your pants. So get ready to put on the adult diaper. And it's a joke, right? But my kids are sitting in the audience, and the next week they have this show and tell at school, and my boy gets up. He's like, "Teacher, teacher, I want to say something. My daddy wears diapers." And the joke is this: I want that to be a reminder every time I put that ring on,
Hmm.
that if I'm not wearing diapers, I'm probably not living. Living is not about feeling comfortable all the time. It's about feeling the ups, feeling the downs, feeling the momentum, feeling the slowdowns, feeling the barriers of entry that people said you can't go through, and then you freaking shattering that and saying, "You know what? Bleachers were built for a reason, so grab popcorn, sit in them, and freaking watch me." And that's what it's about, man. It's about going out, guns blazing, and like shattering what people's beliefs of that they have of you are, and and proving that you're like here on purpose. You're here to make a difference.
I love that. I love that. So, Ben, as you were continuing to travel your path of success, did you have to intentionally remove certain people in your life that were that negative influence? Did you just have to say, like, because a lot of people want to coddle you and say, oh, but you know what, Ben, even if you don't, I mean, putting three XSC on your shoulder, I mean, that's courageous. And there's got to be a big part of a lot of people that are like, Ben, no, let's not dream that big. Let's limit your
Mm.
dreams. And you have to say, hey, that's great, but we probably shouldn't hang out as much.
Life changers don't obey the rules. They disobey average. and they break the expectations. Yeah, like my high school had never had a three-time state champion, and they'd never had a team championship either. And my senior year, we broke all the records, won that, and for the next 10 years, we won seven more state titles. You got to be the trailblazer,
Mm.
right? You got to be the person where one of my really good quotes is two roads diverged in the woods, and I chose the one less traveled by.
Right.
That's made all the difference. That's an incredible quote. I love another quote that says, heights by great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upwards in the night. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow said that. Here's the thing, you got to be obsessed, you got to go after it. You're going to be tired, you're going to be weary, but you're going to be freaking living. There's going to be roads that they're going to go one way or the other way. And one's going to be just like really beaten down and people have gone in. There's a lot of people. And there's other ones just like, oh yeah, let's freaking go. Let's set the tone. But as you do that, yes, there will be people. One of them was my doctor that did all my surgeries at the beginning. And then finally, when I was getting ready to graduate high school with my 3XSC on my jacket and then go on, and I wanted to be an All American, a world champion eventually, he said, Ben, after the surgery, you cannot wrestle anymore. It's too risky. I said, but doctor, I've had these surgeries twice before and I'm wrestling and I'm doing pretty good at it. He looks at me, he's like, and my mom was in the room. He said, Ben, do you want your face fixed or not? As he went out the room, I sat there, I looked at my mom, I said, Mom, do we pay him to have me feel this way? And she was just a little bit emotional. She's like, no, son, we don't. And she grabbed my hand. We walked out of that room that day and never came back.
Wow.
Here's the moment of testing, of trial, of proving. In the moment that you fire the people that are not in your corner anymore.
Mm.
He was in my corner and he was great. And I'm so grateful for that doctor for so many years. But eventually, you might outgrow people or they might change a path, and that's fine. You're going to not want to fire them because you don't feel like there's a second option. You
Mm.
don't feel like there's a backup plan. And I didn't have a backup plan. That doctor knew me better than anybody else.
Right.
But as I met my next doctor on accident, he heard about everything. He was looking at my brother's underbite, and he said, Luke, my older brother, is this genetic? He's like, no, but my brother's out in the waiting room. We go to school together, and he has a facial difference. He's actually looking for a doctor. He's like, oh my gosh, can I go chat with him? The doctor comes out. He's like, Ben, tell me some of your goals. And this was my unknown backup plan. I said, Doctor, wrestling's changed my life. It's given me something I could control. I couldn't control Crouzon syndrome, but I can control effort, energy, and my attitude when I show up. It's allowed me to become confident.
Mm.
He's like, Ben, what are your goals? I said, Doctor, I want to be an All-American. I want to be an NCAA All-American. I've dreamt it ever since I've grown up. Every year I'd go to the national championships, and my dad would point to me in my chest and said, Dad, he says, Ben, you're going to be on that podium one day. But I said, Doc, I can't make that true if I can't wrestle. And then I said, I would love to represent the United States of America one day too. And he said, Ben, I've never done surgery on a future All-American wrestler or maybe even a world champion. How soon can we get you back on the mat? When you fire the people who are not supposed to be in your life because they're limiting you,
Mm.
the plan B will be so much greater than you would ever imagine. The girlfriend, the boyfriend that you're with right now, and you know inside you're not supposed to be with them, but they treat you good, and so you stay with them. I'm going to tell you, now's the time.
Mm.
The job that you're in that you know you're not supposed to be in, now's the time. Make the decision. The plan B will be scary. You'll have to wear a diaper for a little bit, like I did, but it will get you to a place that you never could have imagined. I ended up being an All American. I ended up being a world champion, all because of Dr. Kevin Smith allowed me to dream again.
Mm.
And he was there by my side the entire way.
Wow. Wow, that is so powerful. And what I love, especially if everyone has to see the movie Stand Out. When you share these stories, you share them and they're awesome. But when you see them in the movie, even going back to the 3XSC when you declared it, right? And you got the right people around you and you put the timetable, you did the 3 steps. The journey there was still pretty intense. And there were a lot of moments where it was like, oh my goodness, wait, I know he wins 3 state titles. How does he do it? And it's not to believe that we're not going to have setbacks along the way, but it's having that roadmap, sticking to the roadmap. And I love, Ben, that it's really having people to help get you there. And Ben, that's what you're born to do. That's what you inspire hope in me, you inspire hope in your audience. And I was not joking when I got up on stage after you and thought to myself, I hate the person. I don't hate anyone, but I really dislike the person who put me after Ben. This was awful. This is horrible, right? But the reality is this, Ben, you helped so many. You have helped me. What's the best way? I know people can go to your Instagram, Ben KJAR, Ben Kjar, KJAR, on Instagram. Is there any other way that people can come in contact with you and learn from you?
Yeah, thank you so much, man. BenKjar.com has everything. It has a link to where you can send my team a message if you feel like this resonates with you and you would like me to come and speak in front of your organization or your team. It also has all of my information about where to watch the film, Stand Out, and then also what we're kind of doing next. I mean, we're dreaming big and we want to be able to create standout humans that choose to disobey average because I don't believe that we're meant for normal. In the Bible, it talks about people who are lukewarm, and some people don't really understand, like, what does that mean? Because it's kind of lukewarm. What is that? It's kind of hard to define that. So I just redefined it. I just call it disobey average. The people who disobey average are the people who aren't lukewarm, the people who go all in, the people who do more when they're asked to do average, the people who go above and beyond are the ones that truly are the ones that make a difference. And the older I get, brother, I'm 43, and the older I get, the more I seek to understand people with great intention first.
Mm.
The more I can understand who has good intention, I want to be around them. I want to be around the people that intrigue me. I want to be around the people that are shaking things up. I want to be around the people who are just like challenging, like what has seemed to be okay. And I'm tired of low living. I'm tired of just like being a participant in life. I want to be someone who shakes it up. And I think that's what gets me up in the morning. How can we shake things up today? How can we disobey average? And how can we allow people to feel that they can do the same?
I love that. I love that, Ben. You are awesome. Love what you shared. Your insights are so powerful. The movie's amazing. Hearing you speak is tremendous. Love what you shared, Ben. Great being with you. Great spending time with you. Appreciate all that you shared.
God bless you, brother.
Take care. Bye now.